Well, it's been a very action-packed weekend here on the channel. Thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. The summer forecast was indeed released on the live stream yesterday afternoon, so do check that out. And also go on to markvoganweather.com. There will be links in the description below today's videos, but essentially the written as well as the Atlantic hurricane season forecast has now been released on the channel, so do check that out at your leisure. And also watch back the live stream from yesterday afternoon. So around about the hour mark, discussing initially the verdict as to what I actually think is going to take place overall, and then giving you a little bit more background as to the thinking behind why the forecast is what it is. But essentially a highly variable summer, warmer than normal, and potentially drier south, wetter north, with a lot of variation in between. Cool, wet days, hot, dry days. Essentially, you've got a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of a 2015 or 2020 flavour to the summer forecast. So check that out, both the live stream as well as the written forecast at your leisure. So we are back in business once again in terms of normality. We've got low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, westerly winds, bringing a little bit of a conga line of low pressure in from the Atlantic. More of an active jet stream as well, it has to be said, driving these areas of low pressure towards Western Europe. And we are seeing the rains come back. And I suppose for many different aspects, this is welcome in terms of rainfall. But you've got this nice little swirl just to the east of Iceland here, north of the UK, that has been bringing some fairly windy conditions actually across, particularly in the north, but the widespread gusty winds across the UK over the last few days here. And we've got a feature that's actually running across both Ireland and the British Isles through the course of today as well. So a fairly unsettled picture. We do have areas of brief high pressure in between these lows that is going to generate a little bit more settled and sunnier conditions. But overall, it's going to be quite an active week in terms of weather. We're going to see a series of low-pressure systems moving in over the course of the next week to 10 days or so here. Low pressure, very much the dominant player. But down across more southern and southwestern portions of the continent, we're essentially seeing what you would typically expect to see in terms of temperatures anyway. We've got temperatures into the low, even mid-30s across southern portions of Spain. Generally reasonably mild across the majority of the continent here, down across the southeast, northeast. We're seeing the warmest temperatures, a little bit fresher up across Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And generally it's a little bit above average across the majority of the continent. Feeling a lot fresher, especially in those strong winds. We've even got some snowback over the West Highlands and the Cairngorm Plateau this afternoon. But again, nothing exceptional for this time of the year, even though we're knocking the door of summer. You do get that. And, through the first half of June last year, we've seen day after day of fresh snow over the tops of the mountains, unusually cool temperatures, and quite unsettled weather as well. So, plenty of reason to stick around. If you're enjoying the content here in the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and share the channel with your friends. This is, by the way, the ECMWF extended through the next 30 days. So you can see here, this is the upper heights seen by the extended, and you can see higher pressure trying to exert its influence across the majority of the UK, as well as Ireland, a little bit lower pressure towards the far north of the British Isles here. But you can see in terms of precipitation anomaly over the next 32 days, which takes out to Tuesday or Thursday the 26th, you can see here that the majority of the UK is wet than average, with the far south clinging on to something drier. France and Iberia drier than average as well. But the majority of the UK and Ireland is wetter than average for the majority of the upcoming 32-day period. Looking at temperature anomalies then for the same period, you can see that it is largely warmer than average. So that's off the ECM extended. And this is how the GFS ensembles looking like over the next 7 days. So wet than average, drier than average across France and Iberia. As we play through this loop, you can actually see how we go from wetter than average to drier than average. And if we look at the upper heights, we see high pressure continuously on the models building back in. I really think towards the end of week 1 into week 2 of June, that is when we're going to see the change to higher pressure. That is the forecast anyway that I'm sticking to at the moment. That is part of the summer forecast as well, that the month of June will see higher pressure building in. Potential for hotter weather as well associated with that high, and more sunshine, less in the way of rainfall. So we'll wait and see what happens anyway. You know, there's no guarantees when it comes to weather and weather forecasting, but that is the ideas that I've got. Looking at the GFS ensemble, then you can see that the high eventually builds in towards western areas of Europe, encompassing the majority of the western side of our continent, and we should see warmer and drier than average weather, with that being the general idea and the outcome of the models. Looking then at a very interesting warm night associated with a warm air mass, but also the Fern effect. Crete, for example, not Greece, Crete, a Greek island, seen temperatures locally during the overnight period into the mid to high 30s. And even 35 Celsius almost for the entire night. So the reason why we've seen temperatures ridiculously warm throughout the overnight period is the warm air mass, but also the Fern effect, strong gusty winds enhancing the warm temperatures. But we have been seeing some very, very warm air getting drifting northwards out of the north of Africa, across the Mediterranean and into the south and southeastern portions of Europe here. We're seeing a bit of a switch around taking place after what has been quite an unsettled and even reasonably cool month of May so far. We're seeing cooler air coming back into the western side of Europe here, warmer conditions now shifting further east across the continent as a result of that. And we continue to see the onset of the monsoon, record-breaking cool day in Mumbai, for example, with heavy rainfall and flooding. It's record early, this monsoon onset. Migrate as far north as Mumbai, which is further up the west coast of India. We're also seeing remarkably warm temperatures continue across the Arabian Peninsula. For example, temperatures as high as 51.6 in the UAE, or United Arab Emirates, only 0.2 below the all-time national record. So it's a May record, but it also is very close to an all-time record for the United Arab Emirates. Qatar seeing 48.5 and Bahrain 46.3 Celsius. So everything just appears to be a little bit earlier than normal, whether it be the heat in the Middle East or the monsoon in the Indian subcontinent here. So quite a lot of reasons to stick around, because I follow this especially on the live stream each and every Sunday. Do check out the Global Weather Report on Saturday, looking at the global weather conditions from the past week. So, that was Saturday. Obviously, the release of the summer forecast was Sunday, along with the hurricane forecast ideas as well. The written forecast for the Atlantic hurricane season forecast will be released on marfogandweather.com this upcoming work week. So stay tuned for that. The June outlook is coming up as well. So, there is lots going on at this minute. You can see here, this is off the GFS. This is mean sea level pressure, and we'll end with this. You can see the deep low just to the north of the British Isles here. We've got higher pressure to the south, winds coming in from the west here. Continue to play through this. You can see one system after another getting driven across the UK and Ireland, and eventually towards the end of this loop, while we see a deepening of the trough, if you notice here off the GFS up, establishing itself towards the end of week 1 of June. You can see that the pressure then builds as we move towards the end of week 1 into week 2 of June. The ensemble shows it, the GFS operational shows it, the ECMWF model is indicating it as well. We will wait and see what happens. Obviously, things can change, but generally speaking, we are in the unsettled conditions for the next week to 10 days. So just a little bit of patience is required. I'm hopeful that we see higher pressure building in as we move into the month of June and meteorological summer. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. A cool, wet, and windy bank holiday Monday. We'll be back again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.